Hello and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Winona, and today I'll be playing a little Scribbles Scrambles today. And I am today also with the wonderful, amazing, awesomest person and friend.
Hi everybody, my name is Whis. I'm not sure how much I've earned all of those titles, but okay. And I am also playing a wizard. I am playing an old wizard.
A good old wizard.
Good old wizard. Oh dear, yes. Yes indeed. So what's Scribbles up to today?
Well, Scribbles is taking a small break of helping his wonderful wife out with all the university stuff to go check on, say, their castle that's being built right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he get say, and it's been coming along pretty well. They already say, like mentioned in previous FPSs, like they got the teleportation circle set up, so people can like get to the castle if they know the circle combination, which he would have definitely given it to his friends and everything, including Faber.
Well, Faber actually goes to the site every day because in order to make a teleportation circle permanent, you have to redraw the thing in that spot.
I know.
Every day for 12 months. So
Yeah.
he's been going there to do that because he knows that Scribbles is busy.
Yeah, and Faber knows he has actual help because there is one robot whose sole job, just in case if Faber can't do it, is to stand there and also redo this teleportation circle. His name is Stu, and he looks very similar to the Tears of the Kingdom little robots.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Love it.
Yeah.
Faber is all for this automated convenience, but he's still a little bit suspicious by it. He's like, I'm sure it'd be much better if an actual wizard was riding the circle, but okay.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm pretty sure you have to actually cast the spell. It's not just drawing it, it's casting it.
Yeah, and this particular little robot knows how to cast that spell. It was specifically built to cast this spell, so it's just like, usually just sits there in rest mode until, like, the automatic timer comes out. It's like, oh, time to recast spell. As he goes over to the teleportation circles, because there's one for Toon, because there's, like, four ones. There's, like, one for the one, like, to get people here, and then the other there's, like, one for Toonstown, one for Billstown, and one for Column Seal.
Lovely. That's great. The three most important places.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There was technically one to University City too.
That would help.
Yeah.
That would help. Oh dear. But yeah, so Faber comes by quite often to cast that spell. He doesn't not trust the robot that Jewel made, but he's like, I also don't trust the robot that Jewel made.
Here's the thing: this robot is the most chipper robot you ever see. It always goes like, "Hello, Mr. Dominim. Say it is good to see you again."
Oh, Stu. Good evening. How are you?
Doing well.
Oh, good. Well, I'm just here to check on the construction and cast teleportation circle again. Have you had a uninterrupted day?
Had an uninterrupted day until you arrived here. Though I will observe that there are birds that fly in that I do enjoy watching.
The number of birds will only increase once the garden is put in, but for now, I'm glad you enjoy them. And then he's just gonna he's gonna cast the spell. And then he's gonna just head on out of I feel like the circle area itself is probably the first thing that was built, so there is a quote unquote station here with a little roof and everything. But he's just gonna, after he's cast it, he's just gonna walk on out to look at the rest of the construction site.
And Stu just waves him goodbye. He's like, Have a good day at the site, sir.
And thank you. It's not an awkward conversation every time.
This robot doesn't notice any of the awkwardness. They are just no thoughts, head empty, little robot who's very proud of their one job.
Oh, bless. Yeah, but yeah. Awkwardness aside, Faber is gonna head on into the construction site, just to see how things are going, and like obviously he's kept a copy of the blueprints that he made for himself. He's just checking them over, checking that everything is being built to plan and quality control, as you do as an architect. That's what you do.
Indeed. And Jules has been there pretty much almost every single day at the construction site, too, to oversee everything. And Jules takes a notice and goes, "Oh, hello, Faber."
Oh, Jewel, how is everything
Yeah.
going today?
It's pretty good. We got a lot of the foundation done, and she looks into the giant hole.
Ah, good. It's probably the most finicky part of any build, getting the foundations, but it's something we definitely need to get right.
Indeed. And I've been keeping an eye on the weather, too. So far, it's been pretty nice, though we have had to have it covered sometimes for the rain.
This time of year is quite pleasant. As the year wears on, though, we'll have snow and rain and all of that fun things happening far more often.
Yeah, but at least most of the time we're pretty ahead of schedule. Though. But it does help when the workers can work 24-hour shifts. As she looks around at all the robots.
That does help. People tend to enjoy rest and food and all that sort of thing, but I do like working with actual people workers, but I think that it's better to use your labor for a project of this scale.
They do have their breaks. As Jewel looks to the side and there's like some robots. There's some robots eating and just sort of just taking a break. They work in shifts.
Fascinating. I will not claim to know anything about robots, I'm afraid. I'm a doll maker and an architect, not an engineer.
Yeah, all these warforges are really good for what they need to do. And they're very diligent workers.
He just gives a bit of a nod and then plods over to have a closer look at the building in progress.
Yeah, the foundation is actually coming really well. They're starting to work on some of the support beams along with the walls. The walls of it. You do
Nice.
see like some of the hidden passages starting to be made, like you see on the blueprint that they sort of hidden out.
That does make him grin a little bit. He's very much looking forward to being able to tell Scribbles about all of these.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing how long it takes the children to find them.
Mm-hmm. Like, there's the obvious, like, exit one if there's an emergency, but there's also the little ones of, like, just for the kids.
Yep. To the secret room, where it's just totally not accessible from your parents' bedroom if necessary. Love it, love it.
Adorable.
So Faber's just gonna go about checking everything's up to code, and obviously it would be with Jewel here, but like he likes to check. He likes to check in person.
Mm-hmm. Jewel follows him around. It's like, other than the robot, she doesn't get much interaction. It's just like, mainly it's just all the androids and robots here. But so it's really nice when someone else like Scribbles or Faber come over to check on everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to see that all construction on all fronts that I'm supervising is going well.
Indeed, it is. We've been trying to make sure to schedule the supplies, though. Again, things have been going ahead of schedule, and every once in a while we need more supplies than we actually have. But thankfully, because of the teleportation system that we have here, that's been, you know, dampened slightly in terms of like not hurting the progress.
Yes, well, I mean, having teleportation circles is very convenient. It's why they were developed. But
Indeed.
no, I definitely agree. I don't know what I would do without the one near Column Seal, quite frankly. There isn't very much in that area of Salunia, so having the circle there means that we can get our supplies in for the repairs and the construction that we're doing there.
And how's that been going?
Oh, quite well. The walls of the first floor of the new and improved Panga have been erected, so that's good. And Iona's been itching to get back to work, but I can't make this happen any faster for her, unfortunately.
Yeah, fortunately, that's where the what's those newfangled words the kids like to say? The cookie crumbles, I think, was one of them.
Yes, well, unfortunately, and I feel like it was probably deliberate, quite frankly. But of all the damage done to our town when it was attacked, her inn was the only building that was completely razed, so it is what it is.
Yeah, from what I hear, that's probably true. That was purposely intentional.
Well, given as their purpose for coming to our town was to attack Iona and I, then I can only assume it was on purpose.
Yeah. How's the kid doing?
Very well, I think. She's very glad to have us back. Every time I have to leave home, though, she doesn't particularly appreciate it. She's very clingy still.
Yeah. After what happened, I don't blame her. Probably developed a bit of separation anxiety.
No, I don't blame her either. But much as I spent an awful lot of time not at home, I can't be trapped there either. And I have been working on her ambulata, so I will be able to bring her with me. It's just, it does take some time to build it. And then to enchant it. I would love to be able to do one at the same time as the other, but not everything works that way.
Jewel nods. And honestly, I like to hear more about the process. Say, for what Scribbles tell me, it's an amazing piece of work.
It's my life's work, so I'd hope that it was of some quality.
Everything gets better with age, as they say.
Well, I'm just hoping that before my age catches up to me. I forgot to turn the chime on the clock off. Whoops.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, and you're gonna go through the chimes twice today. Why? Shut up. No, I completely lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Right.
Talk about how.
Yep. I hope that I can perfect it before my age catches up to me, and I lose the opportunity to do any more work on it.
With your grit and determination, you'll be fine.
I'm, well, still in the recovery phase from all of the plot shenanigans that we were subjected to, so hopefully I'll have some time to actually develop my research some more as time goes on.
Hey, you got Scribbles to help you out with that?
Well, yes, I suppose I do. Do you want to roll an insight on the old man?
I will roll an insight on the old man, and I forgot to bring up her character sheet. Give me one moment.
What's your deception, Faber? It's not dreadful.
Insight. What's your insight? Okay, so it's just a straight D20 for you. Fair enough. That's a nat 20.
Oh my god!
Okay. That's how we're starting today off.
Great, Jewel. Okay.
This is an old grandma cat. She sees all.
She sees all, apparently. Faber's 13. That does nothing against a natural 20. Well, there's you get the feeling that there's something else that's keeping him from his research, not just not having the time because of having so many things to do at the moment. There's something else on his mind that is directly related to being able to do his work.
You know, here's the funny thing. She wants to pry into that, but at the same time, Scribbles is supposed to be here, so she's gonna go to say something, and then you hear, "Oh, Faber, you're here," as they turn around and see Scribbles.
Nice timing. Scrambles, well done. Faber will turn around and give Scribbles a big smile. Ah, Scribbles, you're on site today.
Yep, I just caught some time between work at the university to see how progress is doing.
Oh, well, it's been going quite well, hasn't it, Jewel?
Jewel nods. Yeah, quite well. Come and look into the hole. As she flicks her tail over and Scribbles walks to look into the hole. She's like, "Oh yeah, the walls weren't there before. Nope, the walls weren't there before. That's what I thought." Say everything's looking really good. The foundation is like almost done. Yeah, it's getting close enough. We're just making sure all the walls are being built and everything.
It is one of those processes that is quite slow, but quite impressive.
I can see it indeed does. Wow, there's so many rooms in there. Were there many rooms? And Jewel just chuckles.
We, we are not above some secrets, Scribbles. There'll be lots of things for your family to discover in this place. And some for just your children to discover.
Well, I'm pretty sure they'll love that.
Especially if they think that you don't know about it.
Fair enough. But yeah, everything looks really good. I mean, again, no architect or anything, but it looks really cool as he just keeps looking to the hole.
As it develops, it will look better and better. Fortunately, we just have to have patience.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get at least the foundation done by winter.
That would be ideal, yes.
By the way we're going now, we should be able to get it done by winter, but we'll see what happens with the weather. Trying to figure out, trying to make some newfangled contraptions to help with that.
Oh, how exciting. I look forward to seeing them, Jewel.
Thank you. So, Scribbles looks at Faber. So, how have you been doing, though, Faber?
Progressing well. Actually, I was hoping I could have a word. I wasn't expecting you here today, but I was going to contact you later. Do you mind? And he makes a gesture of, let's go and not talk in front of Jewel.
Oh. Yeah, of course. As Scribbles follows Faber's lead, and Jewel actually does say, because she did get a nat 20, she is gonna send Scribble a message. He's like, "Is there something to be on his mind, Scrambles? I'm hoping you can help him out with that." And Scribbles just stands for a second there and looks back at Jewel, who just gives sort of the paw wave of "Go on, follow him," and Scribbles just nods and just follows Faber.
So does Scribbles want to roll an insight on Faber before he says anything?
Yeah, Scribbles will roll insight on Faber. Alright, that's not bad. Let's see, that is a 14.
A 14. Well, that's more than the deception that he rolled earlier, so I'm just gonna have that stick. That's fine. So yeah, he's definitely bothered by something. And maybe a little embarrassed as well. A little bit of both. But he leads Scribbles a little bit away from the construction site to sort of stand closer to the edge of the cliff where they're building, so closer to the ocean. But far enough, so still close, but far enough away that the sounds of the construction site are kind of just like a distant murmur rather than loud. And he sort of just looks out over the ocean for a moment and then looks back at Scribbles. How much do you consciously think about it when you draw your magic circle? Your custom circle.
My custom circle. I mean, I remember when I first drew it, I had to think a lot about it. I mean, of course, drawing something from scratch, you usually do. Even with my spell book and having a copy of it, it's more like trying to do it, memorizing and do it on my own. But over time, it just sort of felt natural to me. It's just like second nature almost.
Yes, that is how it should be. For wizards who have their own circles, it's as easy as breathing. It's natural to be able to draw your own circle because it's part of your magic, part of you.
Scribbles nods and agrees with that. Yeah. Why do you bring it up?
Well, it's actually quite a bit embarrassing, to be honest, but I can't draw my circle anymore.
Scribbles sort of widens his eyes in shock. You can't draw your circle. Like, in what ways? Like, your hands too shaky or memory issues?
If it were a memory issue, then it still wouldn't be a problem because it's not a memory. The circle isn't really a memory, and my hands don't shake. It's just the symbols that I draw when I try to draw my circle. They're wrong. They're in the wrong places. They're not how it's supposed to be.
I mean, I'm sorry if I offended a little bit. I was just more like, you've been through a traumatic event, Faber. And I'll say, if I'm gonna speak bluntly about it, with what was cast on you and it being a powerful sort of magic with soul magic it wouldn't be out of the question. I don't think that would affect it in some way, or at least for a little bit. But
I can't create an ambulata without my magic circle, Scribbles.
I know. Say, I just hoping that, like, how long has this been happening?
A while. Maybe since coming home. I don't really want to entertain the thought that my time as a cat damaged it, but I don't know. And he sounds a bit heartbroken, actually.
And Scribbles' just eyes soften, and his hair does turn a little bit blue as he feels really bad for Faber as he places a hand on his shoulder. I mean, I know how much that this means to you, and I'm truly sorry that this is a problem. Has been a problem for you now. It's just not being able to do your own circle.
And I don't understand what's wrong it doesn't feel any different to any time I've ever drawn that circle, and I've been drawing it for decades. I was your age when I developed my circle. It's not as though I haven't drawn it millions, thousands, hundreds of millions of times before. And it doesn't feel any different when I draw it. It's just, it's not how it should look.
And Scribbles does a big think thonk. Maybe you need a second set of eyes. Let me draw your circle and let me see if I catch anything as you do it.
As in, what do you mean?
Like I said, draw your circle. As he like, he's gonna roll a hammer space. Okay. He takes out a piece of paper and a quill.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can have some insight as you draw it.
All right. If nothing, it'll just prove that there's something wrong, I suppose. But he will take the paper and the quill and he will actually, you know what? He's going to roll his hammer space. Where's your D10? There. That's an 8. He's going to bring out his spell book so that he can kind of use it as a rigid surface. So he'll put the paper on the front cover, and he'll then use the quill, and he'll start drawing. What would you like to roll for this to observe?
Maybe Arcana would be the best one.
Yep.
Since this is a magical circle.
Yep.
All right. That's going to be a... Try to do math in my head. Just write it out, Kara. Just write it out. 24.
Nice. Okay. So Faber is drawing his circle, and like you've seen him draw his magic circle before, and it has certain elements to it. It's got like this knotwork design and some circles connected with lines, and he usually draws it in a pink ink. Like everything he does seems to be pink. But like he's using your quill, so it does look a little bit odd at first that he's drawing it in normal black ink. But as he draws, the elements of it are very familiar. It's got circles connected with lines, it's got a knotwork design, it's got some spirals in it, which is new. And then there's a different symbol that's cut straight through the middle. And the positioning of all of these symbols is very, very different to what you remember Faber's magical circle to be like. But as he draws this circle, there's no hesitation in his hand. Like, he's trying to just draw it the way that it feels like it should be drawn, rather than forcing it like he has been. Because that's the whole point of the exercise, but it looks so natural the way that he draws it. As easy as breathing, to use his phrase from earlier. And when he finishes, he took up the whole paper that you had given him. When he finishes the circle, it is a very different circle. It's not the circle he drew before. It's similar, but it's still our magic circle. And there is still, even though he's drawn it in black rather than pink, you can still feel that it's magical, you know? So, like, the drawing that he has made still has that magic ready to be used for something, just sitting there in it. Whereas just normal drawings, they don't have that. But a magic circle is a magic circle, and that is a magic circle, without a doubt.
Yeah, and Scribbles just looks at it and just sort of is saying, just like, hand underneath the chin, sort of that thinking gesture. it is different, I agree. It still, you still did it like naturally, like breathing. And I can feel the magic coming from it. It seems to be working, but you're right, it doesn't look like you usually draw it.
I've never. Every time I've tried to draw my circle, when I've realized that it's wrong, I've stopped. I've not drawn it all the way to where I feel like it's finished. You're saying that this is still a functioning circle? You really think so?
It definitely feels like it, yeah, for sure.
And he's just gonna offer Scribbles back his quill and then pull the paper off the cover of his spellbook and just sort of stick his spellbook under one arm so that he doesn't have to hold on to it. Do you want to roll me a perception?
Yes, I would love to roll a perception. I got cocked. There we go. That's gonna be a dirty 20.
Nice. So in those few moments where the paper has been taken off the cover of Faber's book, and then before he sort of held it between his ribs and his arm, you can see that the cover of this book. So the last time you saw it, it was pink with gold decals, but it didn't really have much in the way of embellishments. It was a fairly what's a good word? I had a good word and now it's gone.
Embroidery?
The opposite of garish. Like a relatively plain spell book as far as wizard spellbooks goes. Like, yes, it was pink with gold filigree, but like it was still wasn't really loud. Like a lot of wizards have really loud spellbooks.
Simplicity?
Yeah, it's much more simple. There you go. There you go. Simple in its design. But the Faber, being Saloonian, has a watercolor kind of art style. Like, he still has line work, regardless of the way that I draw him. But the coloring is definitely more of that watercolor. And his spellbook is the same. But the way it kind of looks at the moment, it almost looks like... I don't know how much watercolor painting you've ever done, Nona, but like if you're putting water onto watercolor paint and how it kind of bleeds.
Yeah.
So like there's some patches of pink that are lighter than others, and it's sort of just bleeding, but it's also sort of moving as well. Like the colors are trying to readjust, but it's not moving as in like animated. It's moving as in like, you know how like if you're in between two skyscrapers and you look up and it feels like the skyscrapers are moving because of the clouds, but they're not actually?
Yeah.
Kind of that same sort of, yeah, they're not actually moving, but there's an optical illusion happening here. That kind of moving. As if they're trying to get settled somehow.
And Scribbles, like, looks at his book in particular.
He has not noticed. He is too busy sort of just looking at this paper going, the hell? He is so confused and concerned right now.
Faber, have you noticed that your book has also, it's like in between designs?
He's going to look up from the paper and look quite alarmed. What?
Yeah, look. As he like gestures towards his own book.
You pull the book back out from under his arm and just sort of look at the cover and you don't have to roll insight again. Faber's concern has just gone up. He is a lot more concerned and confused, maybe a little bit afraid. He has no idea what's going on.
Oh.
Old man has many worries.
Old man has many worries. Look, I know how this will go. What role do I need to make to try to for Scribbles to piece together the puzzles?
Okay. that's such a good question. Why don't you do either an investigation or just a straight intelligence, as you like.
All right. Try investigation. Scribbles is trying to think this thing out logically.
Yeah, and like it's a specific thing rather than an overall perceiving type thing. So I think investigation.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the ticket.
All right, that's a low roll, but thank God for modifiers.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd have much of an issue with that.
16.
16. Okay. So there has been an upheaval in Faber's life. Not gonna lie about that.
Yeah.
And like even if you discounted all of the physical and mental trauma that the poor old man had to go through with the modified feeble mind and all of that jazz, probably the most traumatic part of it, the most visually traumatic part, was the redesign. Like when you saw him for the first time on Kantos, he had already started going through a slow redesign process. His colors were in different places, and like he had a little bit of a jitter. Like there was some sketch lines that were visible, but he wasn't in any pain. And given as everybody has debriefed, I can also just assume that Lynn mentioned that when she saw Faber and Iona after the barrier came down, they were both in the middle of a really, really violent redesign process, actually. Like, they were struggling to stand up. They were having that much of a hard time. And only for it to snap back into place in their new designs rather abruptly. Which is probably the most violently traumatic part of the entire process, because it was so impactful and so brief, really, in the scheme of things. But while on their own physical bodies, the designs were cosmetic mostly. What you know of redesigns, they can be skin deep or deeper. It really depends on the design of the toon. And
yeah,
given as Faber said that he was unable to draw the circle he knows after coming home, that means that it was after his redesign.
Yeah, and Scribbles looks between the book and the paper. It's like saying that, and those thoughts go into his head. It's like, Faber, have you considered that this is a part of your redesign?
There is a confused, sort of stunned sort of look that kind of breaks through the slowly rising panic that he was feeling, and he just looks up from his spell book and looks at Scribbles, and he frowns. The redesign.
Yes. It's obvious you had one, and he sort of like gestured toward him. And though redesigns can be just on the surface level of the way you look, there have been cases cited that redesigns can go even further, even affecting a person's magic. I feel like this may I feel like maybe this might be a case of it.
So it's not a wrong circle, it's just a redesigned one.
Exactly. I saw you draw it. It just came so naturally to you. There seemed to be nothing wrong with it.
I've not had a redesign before. It's been a bit startling, I'm not gonna lie, and at my age and everything.
I mean, you, at least from what Lynn told me, your design, well, initially just say the first one just with the way that you look was a pretty violent one. Maybe it changed your magic, but it wasn't really settling down until maybe now,
But
as you drew your circle fully.
I've used my magic since coming back. Obviously, nothing that needs a magic circle, but
But a magic circle is, like you said, a part of you. And you have changed.
and he's just sort of gonna rub his face and
Yeah.
hand the paper back to Scribbles. And I'll get you to roll another perception.
Will do. And Scribbles will continue songs like, when I had my free design, I will say that it was a pretty violent one in the grand scheme of things. I was attacked. I had Scratch being hurt. I had Scratch almost die on me. And when I had enough energy to make it, it's just my book. I changed. I became a color changing toon. My book changed from white and gold to blue, white, gold, and everything between. It's. I don't think it's out of the. I feel like, as someone who's been through a similar design change, I I feel very confident about this. And for his perception, that is a. All right, that's a 16 plus 5, so that makes it a 21.
Great. Okay, so even though the entire circle that Faber has drawn is in black ink, you can kind of see that there is, so there's this 3 circles down the center, 4 spirals coming in from the corners, I suppose, and the zigzag pattern, which is similar to the knotwork that used to be in his old circle, going through the horizontal center. But in the vertical center, over the top of those 3 circles, there is a symbol which you actually recognize because you've seen it before, and it's on a brooch that Faber gained as part of his redesign.
Yeah, and Scribbles points out the brooch. It's like, I mean, look, your brooch matches the symbol in the circle.
Faber will look down at it and just sort of touch his fingers to it, and then look back at the paper where he's drawn this circle and sigh very, very deeply and just rub his face. Oh, such a cruel thing to do to an old man.
Hey, you're not old. And Scribbles just smiles.
Oh, well, not when you compare me to somebody like Jewel, but I am still older than you.
Well, that is true.
But if you're right, if this is not wrong, it's just redesigned, then maybe I can get Aisling her ambulata, because I need the circle to work. If I'm going to make any ambulatas for her or anyone else, even the imperfectors need my magic circle in order to function.
To test out this theory, do you want to go to your place and try it with an imperfecta?
Do I have any vessels that would work? Have I touched on how I go about making them with you?
No, you have not.
Well, you were interested in learning some of the talents of an architecture wizard, so now seems a good a time for a lesson as any. But
Yeah.
what creating an ambulata takes, it's a 2-step process. 1, you have to create a vessel, and 2, then you imbue it with the magic. The first part isn't that difficult, depending on your skills in building such things. Quite frankly, you could theoretically use any of the things that Jewel makes for such things, or I build mine by hand. My father was a doll maker, and he taught me how to do that as well. So the wooden mannequins that you know of from my ambulatas, they're all handmade. Back in my father's time, they were toys for children. And I've just continued on the tradition, I suppose.
Scribbles odd. You know, I did say when I look at them, I say they do very much look like dolls. And say I was curious.
But any kind of vessel will do. For an imperfecta, what the doll is made from is what the ambulata is made from. So, you recall, the ambulata imperfecta that Scratch took over was a little wooden mannequin. And in all other circumstances, apart from a surprisingly powerful Ueda Magic juvenile, it would have stayed that way. It wouldn't have changed at all in ordinary circumstances. And
Yeah.
you can make them out of anything. Wood, clay, plastic, porcelain, cloth, I suppose, would do as well. But for an imperfecta, it doesn't matter. For the other kind of ambulata, the kind that I want to make for Ashling, it doesn't actually hugely matter what the vessel is made from, because it will change. In Ashling's case, she changes into wood. Her ambulata is actually made of wood, even though it doesn't particularly look like it. And I believe that... Oh, let me think. I have only really seen networks since the four of them left my home, but I have been reliably informed that Halloween Town still has a small porcelain form. And the ambulata itself was certainly not made out of porcelain to start with, so for those, it's not as important what the material is, but for an ambulata imperfecta, it will affect the robustness of the form.
Makes sense.
I'm just trying to think if I have anything that would work. Outside of the doll I had already made for Ashling. And I'd rather not use that.
I don't think I have any material on me, but I'm pretty sure we could. I mean, you said anything from Jewel. Maybe she could help us.
If she happens to have a body with that she hasn't already turned into a person, and he sort of looks back over at the castle, is like questioning in his expressions, like, are they people? I'm not sure.
Scribbles looks back to him and is like, she said all of them are war forges. So, yes?
Obviously, a living body cannot be made into an ambulata. It has to be a empty vessel. So, but frankly, anything would work. If we were desperate enough, we could purchase something, I suppose.
I mean, Scribbles, like, looks through his bag and everything. It's just like,
Have any of my children's toys fallen into my hammer space?
You know, let's see. Have they? Let's roll for it. I'm just gonna roll something. Yeah. Let's see what kind of toy has rolled into his hammer space. Okay. Alright. Scribbles has picked up a little teddy bear that is out of his hammer space. Like, I picked this up a while ago because, the kids were being messy. I think I accidentally left this in my hammer space just in case. for on the go, but say this is Scratch's teddy bear.
Well, that would work as long as it wouldn't be missed.
I think Scratch would definitely agree, say would be fine with this.
So long as we pre-warn him. Aisling isn't usually the kind to do pranks, but she has been hanging out with Iona a lot more than normal, and, well, my sister is very influential and can be quite mischievous, so hopefully she doesn't get the idea to use this to frighten Scratch. But I think we will have to parent that one out rather than take unnecessary precautions. Very well, shall we head to the workshop?
Indeed, let's head there.
And he gives a nod and makes one of the after you kind of hand motions.
It's Scribbles goes back to the teleportation little mini station, and Stu perks up. He's like, "Oh, goodbye, Mr. Scrambles. Goodbye, Mr. Dominim."
And Faber's just gonna give a nod. It's like, I don't really like talking to the robot, I don't know why.
It's just, well, this robot, if it could make a smiley face, it'd be making a little smiley face.
You can have like a little LED screen that the smiley face appears on.
Yeah, let's do that. It has a little LED face, smiley face. Again, this little robot has no thoughts, head empty, and is just very proud of its one job.
Oh dear, oh dear. Alright, so they take the circle back to Column Seal and they start the walk from the teleportation circle to the town, through the town, down the road, to Faber's house. Which is actually not an insignificant walk. It's a good couple of K. Yeah, so they head there, and as they are sort of getting, like, I'm assuming there's idle chatter on the way there.
Yeah, there's idle chatter.
But as they're getting close, Faber starts to get really thoughtful, and he puts his hand on his chin as they walk and just goes, "We won't be able to complete it today, if nothing else, but I suppose that's not the point of the exercise, is it?"
No, not really. It's more to see if it could be done rather than it being done, you know?
It does become obvious if the process is going to be working or not. It actually takes about a week to make an imperfecta. So, I certainly won't keep you that entire time, but if it starts to work, then I feel that your theory will be correct, that my circle has just changed, but we'll find out.
Yes. We'll find out. And I think it I know this is all scary for you if it doesn't work. And if it doesn't, you know that we will help you through this, and we'll say you have plenty of people helping and supporting you. You know this, right?
I know. But it's frightening, Scribbles. I don't know how to pass on this knowledge if I can't do this anymore. Aisling will never have a body again, and if anything should happen to the ambulatos of the others, I won't be able to repair them or make them new ones. It will be the end of it. Everything I've worked for will cease.
Scribbles nods. I can fully understand that worry. If something ever happened to Scratch and I couldn't fix it, I don't know what I would do. I mean, I'm not a full architecture wizard like you, but I would more than be willing to learn and help you make a new one with your guidance. I don't care how long would it take, but I would definitely be willing to. Well, I am already willing to learn. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just.
It just doesn't seem as though there is a market for architecture wizards in the world at the moment. And
I don't know. I mean, my Sally has been looking for teachers if you ever wanted to come back to the university.
he does kind of give a blink at that. You think that I'd have students? The last time I taught, I think I had 3 students. And they were more interested in genius loci in the mythological creatures sense rather than in the study of and betterment of medical care of and etc. and any of the architecture magics that I know.
I don't know. Times have changed, and I've definitely been getting more attention ever since I have printed my research paper. I think you'd be happily surprised. Maybe your classes would be a bit smaller, but I think there would be interest.
Well, perhaps. If I find myself with enough time, I mean, I am overseeing the construction of 2 buildings at the moment. One significantly larger than the other, but still.
I mean, yeah, that's fully understandable. But I say you are more than willing whenever you do feel ready for it. You do have a place back at the university.
It would be nice to teach again. Every time that you and I have had lessons, it's always been very enjoyable. Rampant enthusiasm has been something I've missed in my company. At least for the things that I'm enthusiastic about.
Yeah. And you've been a wonderful teacher. I learned already so much from you.
Oh, he does blush a little bit at that. Well, I'm glad. And I'm going to say that they have made it to the house, to Aisling, and she opens the door cheerfully, and he gives the door frame a very fond little pat as they enter. And there is a series of drawings on the wall as you guys come into the main room, and Faber just goes, "We're heading to the workshop, dear."
Yeah, and Scribble does give also a pat on the frame too as he comes in and smiles as he looks at all the drawings.
Oh,
Beautiful work.
a wave emoji and a very crude drawing of Scribbles, which is probably actually quite accurate because of how he's drawn.
Yeah. And Scribble smiles that very accurate. It's a great job.
There's a whole bunch of little stars and then a little trophy shape. Da 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 da. But she lets them down into the workshop, which is basically the same as the last time Scribbles was down here, except it's tidy. And Faber is going to get a few things. He's going to get his very, very, very pink architectural chalk. There's a big empty space that he has off to one side near his work desk, and he starts drawing the magic circle relatively large. Like, it's probably about I don't think in feet, a foot and a half? Where's the ruler?
It's alright.
I don't know. I don't think in feet. I don't know. Maybe, hold on. About shoulder width. There we go. Shoulder width in
shoulder
size. All the way across the circle. So that's how big he sort of draws it. And just like the last time when he was drawing it on the paper, it's so natural the way he draws this circle. And unlike before, you can see him actually sort of hesitate a little when he's drawing it, but he makes himself just let the drawing happen as it happens, because that's the whole point. It seems that I'm not going to make you roll it inside because you're actively watching this.
Yeah.
Drawing it in black was one thing. Drawing it in pink in his color is very much another, and because it's still so new to him, it's still throwing him a bit, but he lets it happen. And he does the main circle, the knotwork in the middle, the spirals, the circle, and then he finishes it with that symbol that matches his brooch. And as he makes the final stroke, it does visibly start to glow ever so slightly. And you can just see a whole bunch of tension just sort of melt out of Faber's form as he gives a little bit of a sigh and he rubs his face a little bit.
Yeah. Scribbles is smiling and his hair's turned yellow.
So far so good, I suppose. Put the toy in the center of the circle, if you would.
Yeah, and Scribbles walks over and puts the teddy bear in the center.
And what Faber does is that he makes a marking with his chalk on the two hands and the 2 feet, and on the forehead, and then finishing with the chest. And they're just sort of like just little slash marks. They're not anything fancy. And you wouldn't expect chalk to go onto this synthetic teddy bear fur particularly well, but like he draws on it as if it were paper. Like it goes on as if it were paper, and like, I mean, yes, they're toons and what have you, but like it still goes on way better than you really feel like it should. And those marks on this doll start to glow as well. And he says a little bit of incantation work, and you can actually feel that his magic is, because your arcana is stupidly high, so like you can roll for it if you want, but like I can also just give it to you because it's an FPS. Who cares?
Yeah, it's fair. You can give it to me if you wanna.
Yep, sure. How about you roll it for shits and giggles to see how much of it Scribbles absorbs? Because there's you understanding, and then there's Scribbles understanding. There is two very different things there.
I mean, that's gonna be I think that adds up to 27. 'Cause...
Use the math bot. It's fine. That's why it's there.
Look, I've never been good at math. Even the simplest of math, I am not good at. Yes!
27. Nice. It's not about good at, it's about speed. But yeah, so, yeah, a 27. So, Scribbles, as he's saying this incantation work, you can actually feel the magic pulling out of Faber into this magic circle and into this vessel that you've placed in there. And like, he doesn't even have his wand out at this stage. It's just the circle and just a little bit of incantation work and just that chalk. It's almost like he's almost using the chalk like a wand, even though I'm pretty sure he has a wand. Question mark? At least as far as Scribbles is concerned, has he got a wand? Maybe? You think? But like, yeah, like it's almost like he's using this stick of pink chalk as a little bit of wand, because he is gesturing with it a little bit. So obviously it's some sort of it's definitely ritual work, but it takes a week? God dang. So obviously this takes a while, and you get the feeling that it's kind of like how you get a permanent teleportation circle. Like, it has to be a cumulative thing over the course of a week in order to bring enough magic into this vessel so that it has the properties that it needs. And pulling in, like, the motions that he's making with this chalk, the words that he's saying, that's where the specifics of the Ambulata Imperfecta magical framework kind of comes in. Because, like, there are any number of spells that you would put a thing in the magic circle and do some hand wavings and what have you. But it's all coming, none of it's coming from that magic circle. The magic circle is just an activator. But he sort of does this for maybe 10 minutes, and then he sort of stops, and he does this very... I'm actually going to roll him a sleight of hand. See how skilled he still is at doing this. Not very. What's your sleight of hand? Oh, what? What? I forgot your sleight of hand was that. I mean, it was a shit roll, but your modifier is a +7, so that's a 10. So, like, he looks like he used to be able to do this with a lot more finesse, but he is an old man who has potentially got arthritis now. But he does this little flick with the chalk and then slides it into his sleeve. That's it. His sleeve is a slightly different shape, too. But he slides it into his sleeve, presumably into his hammer space. So, like, it was still very stylish with a 10, but it wasn't as stylish as it could be. Like, it's still, like, you can see a line of chalk down his palm.
Yeah.
But he does then put his hand to his chin, and he's just got this look on his face where it's relief and a little bit of fatigue because it's been a hot minute since he's done this. And also he's spent such a long time freaking out about his circle that he's all just like, the anxiety is gone, leaving only tired.
Yeah. Scribbles is just smiling. His hair is bright yellow. Looks like my theory is correct.
Seems like it. That felt right. It did. If I were to continue doing this over the course of the next week, then this little teddy thing would be able to be inhabited by any genius locus. Or a magica, apparently.
Indeed.
And yes. I'm not sure that I will continue it. It is not my it's not my vessel to be creating, but at the same time you may wish for a Imbiolata Imperfecta to give to Scratch, but I will let you be the decision maker in that regard, being his parent and all.
Oh, I'll talk to Scratch about it. I feel like I already know his answer, but I still want to talk to him about it and hear it from him, you know?
Oh yes, I completely understand, but I can't start on Ashling's until this one is completed. It's a little bit of an ordeal to give one's magic to something like this, so I can't do two at once.
That's understandable.
But no,
As
you were
Scribble
right. The
goes up.
circle works just fine.
Yeah. Which, I'm not saying it won't be a struggle. It definitely still was for me to get used to what everything looked like, and God, it was like I was sort of kind of used to wearing my emotions on my sleeve with my hair like forming into different shapes, but having an extra layer of color just makes it a whole different animal. Just give yourself time, Faber.
I think that I will find it easier to give myself that grace. It's hard as an old man to start making friends now. And I feel like it's long overdue. But thank you. Genuinely.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Faber. Anytime. Maybe hoping now that your magic is all well, and he sort of like looks to see what his books looks like.
So he has still got his spellbook out. And the cover has settled now, and it does have that mark, that new magic circle, on the cover.
As I thought. now that your magic has settled down and you've started work accepting it, say your book has settled too.
Yes, it seems that way. Sometimes another perspective is all we need, isn't it?
Indeed. And again, more than happy to help.
Well, I'm glad I've got you to rely on. Iona is a very talented spellcaster, but she is regrettably not a wizard, so wizard problems need wizard solutions, don't they?
They do. Sometimes the only other magic help you need is from a wizard.
That's right. And I seem to recall that you were interested in some of my spells. Is that correct?
Yeah, Scribbles' hair turns yellow, like it dimmed down to brown, but now it's spiked up yellow again. It's like, yes, I would love to learn.
Well, I think I have a very good one to start with. One of the ones that was involved in the creation of your new home.
Oh, perfect.
Let's head outside. It is certainly much more of an outdoor experience.
Indeed. As Scribbles says, already got his book out in Quill.
And so they're gonna head outside, and I'm gonna roll hammer space. That is a 8. Perfect. I really need to put like a base plate on this thing because it's got these little spots that the dice can fall into. But that was an 8. So he does pull out. Lo and behold, it's a wand. And he starts moving it around, and he starts drawing a very small box on the ground that kind of looks like a blueprint in glowing pink. And he draws like a little front room, and then this is all at scale, and then he draws like a bedroom and then a bathroom, and then he just sort of steps back after he's drawn it. He's only taken maybe 15 minutes to draw this in his front yard, so it's like a tiny little granny flat.
Yeah.
If you
little,
call- if
say
you
a little
call them that.
a little one bedroom apartment.
Yeah, kind of like a studio apartment kind of thing.
Yeah, studio apartment. That's what they're called. Yes.
Yeah, like, this is me going, do they call them granny flats in the US? I don't know. It's kind of like that, except a ground floor.
We just call them everything apartments, but it's either a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom.
Yeah. Well, the distinction being is that what I would call a granny flat is just this little itsy bitsy 1 bedroom, maybe kitchenette, or full kitchen if you're lucky, and then like bathroom or what have you. But it's a separate building. Like you'd build one in the backyard kind of thing.
That's cool.
I have my sights set on one of these when I eventually have a backyard, but that's beside the point. But yeah, so he's drawn this. It's only taken him 15 minutes. It's obviously his practice building because he looks like he's drawn this a gazillion times. But it's at full size. But it fits in the front yard. And then he steps back and he gives Scribbles a little bit of a go on gesture and go, why don't you go and inspect this yourself?
Yeah, Scribbles is already going up too. He's just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing.
And there's the clock again. Oh, okay. Only once that time? Great. Fantastic. Alright. So you're gonna go and have a sticky beak at this blueprint that he's drawn.
Indeed.
Groovy. How would you like to inspect it? What are you doing?
He's a wizard, so he's probably gonna inspect it with Arcana. It's just like, that's the only thing I could think of on top of my head. But at the same time, it's like this is like an actual sort of bedroom, so it's just like maybe just a regular investigation just to see what he gets off it, just on base.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. What was the investigation do you have? I know you're proficient in. Okay. That's a 22.
Perfect. All right. So the thing that is the first thing that Scribbles get as he approaches this drawing on the ground is like, you know, when you're walking around a normal building, how you automatically go, there's a wall there. I'm not going to walk straight into that wall. You kind of get that vibe as you approach those drawings on the ground, as if there was an actual wall where those lines were. So like, obviously there's nothing, and you can put your hand through it. And you could even step over it if you wanted to, although it takes some effort to. Like, if you wanted to try, I'll get you to roll a whiz save. But it's like there's some subconscious part of your brain that goes, nope, wall. But like, it's apart from going, walls, it just seems to be visual. It's definitely from the illusion school. Um, and obviously this one is pink because that's just Faber's color is pink. And it kind of, it's shimmery. Like, it's not glitter, but like, kinda. If that makes sense.
Iridescent?
No, it's more sparkly. Kind of more like glitter, but it's not like individual pieces. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's definitely illusionary. And you get the feeling that it'll last for a while. It doesn't look like you could rub it off or anything. But like the main effect of it seems to be, whoa. Is Scribbles going to try and walk over it?
I mean, is there supposed to be a door?
Oh yeah, no,
Does it look like
there's a door. There's a door.
he wants to try to go through the threshold, like he's like trying to open the door and go in.
Yeah, so the way that it was drawn, it's drawn just like a regular blueprint, right? So often on blueprints, either there'll just be a gap left in the walls to indicate doors, or there's on more often than not, at least in the ones I've seen, they have this shape that's kind of just traces the arc of where the door would swing open. So it's got that, and that's actually fairly easy to pass through because as far as the blueprint is concerned, the door's open. So you can just walk straight through that door, and you get that feeling as if you were walking through the door. Whether or not it's the door at your current apartment or at Ashling or at Network or anything, it's just, door. It gives a vibe of you being in this small house, even though you are in Faber's front yard.
Yeah, that's sort of the feeling he was like he had theorized that would be sort of the theory, and he's like very happy. His hair is he's just smiling and just looking through everything, and it's just like going through the open doorways into each room and feeling like, oh, that like it feels like there's actually something there. Like my brain is like thinking that even though there technically isn't. This is so amazing.
And like he's also drawn windows into the walls of these, and while you can quite easily see through these walls, it also gives you the vibe of I can see the surroundings if I look through that window kind of vibe, even though you could look anywhere and you can see it and there's nothing stopping you from seeing it. It's just the automatic reactions that you get when you're in a normal building are applying when you're standing on the inside of this life-size blueprint.
Yeah, and Scribble's like, this is amazing, Faber. Like, there's technically nothing here at all. It's just like you can see through everything, but yet you feel like you're in a building and really get the like scale and like size of it.
I think you would take to the spell quite easily. It's certainly very, very basic. That's one of the first spells that I've ever developed for the architectural magics that I do. But there's one other trick that comes with this spell.
Ooh, show me, please.
Okay, that's a 9 on his hammer space.
He's acting like a little kid, somewhat, with just his magic. It's just like,
yep.
Just so excited to learn.
So Faber reaches into his hammer space and he pulls out this sheet of blueprint paper, which is quite big. Because blueprints tend to be, but he lays it down on the grass, and he's got his wand, and he gives the blueprint a little prod, like the paper itself. He gives it a little prod, and then he makes a swish, a little flick with his wand towards the life-size blueprint that he's drawn, which I assume Scribbles is still standing in the middle of, and then a swoosh down towards the blueprint, and that life-size blueprint shoops down into that piece of paper and then is actually transcribed onto this blueprint paper exactly how it was on the ground.
Yeah, and Scribble's like, whoa! As he like goes over to the paper and sees like what he's been walking through on paper. He's like, oh, that's so cool.
It's very basic and it only has very specific uses, I'm not going to lie. But it's very useful for planning out buildings on the site where you're going to put them, making sure that they're going to fit. And then you can save them. And that is how we designed your home.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very specific use, but still amazing magic nonetheless.
Would you like to copy it down and then give it a try for yourself?
Yes, please. And Scribbles is like already like beside Faber, wanting to look into his spellbook to copy it down.
Faber flicks right to the beginning of his spell book, like on like the third page or something, because obviously he's got his cantrips on the first couple, obviously. And
That's
then
fair, yeah.
he flicks over to the like one of the other pages, and then he just sort of holds it out for Scribbles to look at, and there is life-size blueprint.
Yes.
First
Uh,
level illusion spell.
First level?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, here's the thing. It only takes him 2 minutes to write this spell down because he's
He's
using
a
his magical quill in book.
Scribes, everybody.
Scribes. Look, it's the main thing for this wizard, and I love it. It technically does nothing really big mechanically, but this has so much flavor, and I love it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll give you the exacts of the spell later. But yeah, so Scribbles is able to jot it down, and yeah, congrats, you've now got life-size blueprint.
Yeah.
Is he gonna give it a try?
Yeah, Scribbles is gonna give it a try. As he looks at the spell and sort of uses his own quill pen to like draw it out in real life, similar to like 3D printing, as he just like makes some basic walls for like a one bedroom thing, but instead of like a little studio apartment similar, what is it called, granny houses?
Granny flat, yeah.
Granny flat, sorry. Yeah, granny flat. He sort of like flavors it as somewhat like a little treehouse sort of thing, just like a little playhouse with
Cute.
with some couches, and then he sort of sketches out where like the toys would be with a little TV on the side and a little table, but also places for storage for the toys and everything. There's even a playhouse within the playhouse.
Yeah. The only thing I think that Scribbles will notice in the difference between the way that Faber's blueprint looks and the way that Scribbles' looks. Like, obviously, Scribbles is not necessarily going to be drawing in pink.
Yeah.
But Faber is also a trained and qualified architect, whereas
Oh, yeah.
Scribbles ain't. So there is going to be a little bit of a discrepancy in architectural quality.
Yeah. At least when it's like printed out like in the lot, it's definitely in different colors. Let's say, because Scribble's pen can do any color he wants. He's sort of like in a way sort of imagining, oh yeah, the walls would be this color, this couch would look nice in this sort of room. And he does that, and when he's finished, he just looks at it, it's like, ta-da!
Not bad for a first try. I
Yeah.
will give you some books on architectural design. That may help
Yeah,
with your
Scribbles.
drawing.
Scribbles sort of blushes. Yeah. Not an architecture by any escape, but I thought it was decent for a first attempt.
Absolutely. I am also a trained architect, so there's a difference
Yeah.
between what I can draw and what you would tend to do. But I will give you some books and some pointers if this is something that you wish to pursue. And if anyone can find interesting and creative uses for this spell, I know that it's going to be you.
Aw, thank you. Do you have any more blue pen paper so I can try that second part of the spell?
Oh, yes, of course. Let me see. That's a 4. Yep, here, pull out another piece of blueprint paper.
And Scribbles smiles as he sort of like he uses a pen almost like a computer mouse, as he like sort of clicks it and then drags it over to the paper, and it just swoops in.
Yep, that's exactly how the save command works.
Yes.
Yep, perfect. Scribbles is going to get a little appreciative clap from Faber, and a nod.
Scribbles smiles. And he sort of looks at his blueprint and is like, don't mind if I hang on to this?
It's your blueprint. You can do with whatever you like with it.
Thanks. As he sticks in his hammer space. I know maybe putting the cart before the horse, but are there any higher level spells that, say, would be interesting?
There is a few others. What is your highest capacity spell?
That would be right now, that would be 5th level.
Perfect. Well, there is a supplementary spell to this, which was also used in the creation of your house. Which I think you might find particularly interesting. And what he's going to do is he is going to cast Life-Size Blueprint again, except this time he's just going to very simply draw just like a one-bedroom thing. And then he gives his wand another little bit of a twirl in his fingers, and then he goes, and this is 3D render. And he gives it another little tap where a wall would be, and then like kind of imagine as if you were slowly applying texture to a wireframe in a 3D modeling software, because this one bedroom little drawing that he'd done just as a marking on the ground suddenly rises up as a little one bedroom shack with actual visible walls and a roof and a door.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I love that spell is awesome.
It is
actually
a
makes
lot harder. It is a lot harder. There are lots of drawbacks with this as well. Like, obviously, it takes a lot more effort to bring yourself to move through it. And if you were to touch it, he reaches a hand out and it just sort of smudges, I suppose. Like, it's got no mass to it. So it's not like hallucinatory terrain where you still feel like you've got rocks to touch and whatnot. But it definitely looks like there is a small shack in the backyard now, or in the front yard, rather.
Yeah, Scribbles nods. That's cool, but maybe that'd be a little bit more advanced since I can only do simple architecture little things for right now. I think the other one's a lot better. And he sort of looks at his spell book, and he's just like, "What other things do we have?" He's just so curious. And I know I had a spell in mind.
Let me see. What other spells do you know that are those?
I think Commune with City was the one we were possibly thinking.
Yes, absolutely. That has fallen out of the content that I have. That is the one spell I've not been able to find of his. But Faber will tap his chin a little bit and then go, there is another spell which I think you might find quite useful, as you seem to be in less wilderness than I most of the time, but and it is of the correct level, and he flips through to sort of in the middle of his spell book, and then he offers it to Scribbles to have a look at, and then it will be Commune with City, and because I don't have it in front of me, I can't describe it or anything, but we can look it up later.
Yeah, we can look it up later. Scribbles looks at that and just smiles like, that's actually perfect. This is perfect. I'm usually within city most of the time, so yeah. I think this will do very nicely.
I do have other spells that I can give you, but most of the more exciting ones are 6th and 7th levels, so a little bit out of your range just at the moment, but in time.
In time, indeed. But I think the first one and then this one, I think once I get more of the correct architectural, being more accurate down and just being able to make a proper blueprint than what I just did, then maybe we can move up to that 3D rendering spell.
Yes, perhaps. But, well, would you like to come and look at some books now? We can put on some tea.
Yes, and while Scribbles was talking, he was writing down the Commune with City spell in his spell book.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's just like,
So Faber will motion for Scribbles to follow him. He'll put his spellbook and his wand and his chalk and everything away and head inside, put the tea on so that they can go over some architectural basics.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot to leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say it. That's a good spot to leave it.
Lovely. Oh.
This has been so nice. So
Yeah,
adorable.
love it. I do love the old man.
He's a good old man.
He's a good old man. Oh dear. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been lots of fun.
Yes, it has. Thank you for listening in and have a good time zone.
Bye bye.